Super Mario 64 is one of the most revolutionary and influential games of all time, and yes, the sky is also blue. In 1985, Mario kick-started the side-scrolling platformer genre, so it's only fitting he would do the same for 3D platformers 11 years later in 1996. Was it the first 3D platform game ever? Well, technically no, but people consider it to be that because Mario 64 really showed everyone how it's done, with a controllable camera and complete analog control over Mario. It also laid the groundwork for the collectathon subgenre within 3D platformers today. Not only is this game the quintessential 3D platformer, but it was also an exciting new step in the Mario series due to the transition into 3D and structural changes that came along with that. Doesn't he just look so handsome in 3D? But of course, I'm saying most of those things in retrospect. The game is 26 years old now, and games that old will usually always age in one way or another, whether it be big or small. Considering how this was one of the first 3D platformers and definitely the most prominent, it's very possible this game has aged. Because of that, the reception isn't as overwhelmingly positive nowadays due to what some think are dated elements that detract from the quality, but I wouldn't say it's a case as bad as Sonic Adventure, for example. Talk to a random guy on the street and he'll probably fucking hate Sonic Adventure. Just like that game though, this one still has a large following because not everything is going to be like super outdated. And overall, from what I've seen, I think most people still think this game is at the very least decent. If you don't like this game, then I recommend having better opinions. And if you read the title, you already have an idea of what I generally think about this. If you can't read, I still think this game is great. So let's explore how well it has aged over the years and analyze whether or not it's deserving of the status it has as one of the most important games in history. Yeah, I know that pretty much every organism to ever exist has reviewed this game, but the 2D Mario retrospective I did earlier this year garnered a lot of attention, so I might as well continue the trend. I'm not exactly sure when I'll get to other games like Sunshine though. Also, I don't have a working cartridge of Mario 64 DS, so we'll hold off on that for now, but let's pop in the physical cartridge I don't have and see how this game holds up. Oh yeah, I'm also not going to play this on 3D All-Stars for one reason and one reason only.
Bye-bye!
BLJs? What are those?
It's me, Mario!
Yeah, for some reason this is a separate track in the official soundtrack for this game. And oh yeah, Mario has a voice now, provided by the legend Charles Martinet. I love this guy. You can tell he always has a lot of fun with his role as not only Mario, but Luigi, Wario, and Waluigi. But in this game, the only voices are Mario and Peach. He adds so much charm to Mario's character with the Wahoos and Oofs, and the voice is so distinct compared to other video game mascots. Yahoo is what you'll be hearing 98% of the time. The only real sentences are track number 1 in the Super Mario 64 original soundtrack and Once You Beat the Game, where he says,
"Thank you so much for playing my game."
This technically wasn't his first day on the job. Most people think it goes to Mario teaches typing in 1994, but it actually goes back even further to the 1992 Super Mario Bros. Pinball game in arcades where he actually wasn't credited or even paid. I don't know, I guess he was just bored and felt like voicing the most iconic video game character ever for free.
So much personality in this game.
Oh yeah, you also get to play with Mario's face on the title screen. Now I understand what Wikipedia means when they say this is one of the most influential games of all time. Why doesn't Elden Ring have this? Look guys, I made Mario without his mustache. Like other Mario games, there is a minuscule story here. Bowser takes over Peach's castle in the Mushroom Kingdom and steals all the power stars. Actually, he did a bit of a clumsy job stealing all the stars, since you only need 70 to defeat Bowser, and there is much more than that, but we can discuss that stuff later. According to the manual, the power stars protect the castle and Bowser plans on using them to conquer the world because why not? The game just starts with Mario arriving at Peach's castle because she baked a cake, but when he enters, he realizes that he just got epically pranked by Bowser since he kidnapped her, and after that, you get a few dialogue boxes to piece the rest together. The story is as basic as most other Mario stories, and they wouldn't have it any other way. The short introduction just makes this game easier to pick up and play, and that's what I want out of a Mario game. The only notable thing I can think of besides the added personality with Martinet's voice is the fact that Luigi is nowhere to be seen in this game. Yeah, this is why I said it isn't perfect. The manuals of previous games would always say that Mario and Luigi have to rescue the princess since those games had 2-player modes, but none of that stuff is in this game. Despite what this sign in the castle tells you, L is not real in this game. Or actually, I think it says like Eternal Star or something like that. I guess on that note, we can transition into talking about Peach's Castle. It's the hub world you explore to access new levels, an evolution of the world map previous games used. This time you access levels by exploring and jumping into paintings. Yeah, okay, but when I try doing that in a museum, I get arrested by security. What the hell, Mario? However, you do have a handful of levels that aren't accessed via paintings. For shifting Sandland, you have to jump into a wall, and you aren't really gonna know that unless you're really bad at catching Mips the rabbit and bonk into the wall down in the basement. I don't really understand why some levels had to be so extra in this regard. Like, if you wanted to have a secret level in the wall, why would you choose shifting Sandland? And for some levels, the way in which you jump into it can actually alter the level itself. Like jumping high or low into wet dry world will affect the water level, and if you enter tick-tock clock while the clock is at certain times, then the speed of all the moving platforms will be different. Snowman's Land is actually a little clever, and I guess it is a little neat they added some puzzle solving elements into accessing levels in the hub world, but it wasn't that necessary. Also, Peach's castle doesn't really feel like a castle at all when it comes to the interior design. Like, where is Peach's room? No kitchens, no bathrooms, no great hall or anything. Just empty spaces with lots of paintings. And for some reason, one of them leads me to the fiery pits of hell.
What the fuck was that?
Or even worse, Jolly Roger Bay. I know that literally no one cares, but I haven't seen anyone review this game with the balls to say it, so I will. Okay, I still like the design of this place quite a bit because it isn't that spacious, and finding objectives or levels never takes long, except for those times where the secret castle levels boot you completely outside of the castle. Like, why did they do that? The music complements its atmosphere very well. A very iconic track that also brings back memories of my earliest Mario 64 experiences, where I would just roam around the castle looking for secrets and wondering what could possibly be on the second floor since you unlock the basement first, and I could never get that far as a kid. Wait, you're telling me there are other levels besides Bob-omb Battlefield? This place has a few notable landmarks like the foyer, the basement, the courtyard, and the iconic endless stairs. The staircase that keeps on looping until you have enough power stars to reach the last level. Either that or you get arthritis from doing a BLJ. I did it. Another strength of Peach's Castle is just the fact that you get to actually control Mario inside the castle as if it was a proper level, and that's really cool. Couldn't do that in the world maps of previous 2D games. It has been noted 1,000 times before, but the game leaving you in an open field right as you boot up the game is a smart design choice. By providing you with a lot of room to get used to Mario's new control, you may have to experiment with different kinds of jumps to reach another level or a secret. Design like that is always cool. The castle has a total of 15 stars, and the challenges can range from just talking to a toad 3 times, catching Mips the rabbit and fighting against the camera, or getting brought to a short obstacle course like the slide or another area where you have to collect 8 red coins. In the end, it's a nice evolution of the world map, with its own challenges and secrets to incentivize exploration, and I think the secret stars mesh really well with the non-linear progression in this game that we'll talk more about in depth later. Let's get to the real spaghetti and meatballs of this game, the gameplay. To start, we should take note of a few mechanics that were tweaked due to the transition to 3D. Remember the run button? Yeah, well, thanks to the analog stick of the N64's abomination of a controller, it's not needed anymore because depending on how much you press against the analog stick, it can influence Mario's speed, which feels much better and more immersive. If only the analog stick didn't just feel like ass shit, but I don't know why people complain about the 3 handles, feels just fine to me. At least now it's been ported to lots of Nintendo consoles, so you have more options. Or you can use a D-pad if you're insane. If you want to sneak past enemies, you actually have to carefully and gently balance the analog stick, which is the kind of design that D-pads wouldn't really allow for. Also, health is a little different since you no longer get an extra hit point from a mushroom or anything like that. Instead, Mario has a sound health bar with about 8 hit points. Mushrooms are actually nowhere to be seen in this game, and the same for fire flowers too. But different enemies can deal different amounts of damage. It's usually like 3 at most. The Italian Plumber could even suffer from fall damage now. However, I don't really mind that much because refilling health is easy due to coins that can fill you up. Just like 2D Mario, they're everywhere in each level, but the health bar gives them more value. Also, in water levels, you can just straight up Inhale to get your health back. If only recovering from injuries was that easy in real life. Now, but once you start playing with Mario's versatile moveset of jumps and other maneuvers, that's when the control really starts to shine. A few new moves include the Wahoo punch and kick combo that can be used to deal with enemies. The ground pound from Yoshi's Island returns, my favorite sequel to Super Mario World. And you can even do this breakdance kick while crouching. Have fun never using this move.
You know what? I'm gonna set a world record today. First person to ever kill an enemy with the sweep kick in Mario 64.
Here's when it gets really good. If you string 2 jumps together with good timing, you can perform a double jump to get more height, and jumping again after that starts a triple jump to reach even more heights, assuming you have the necessary space to perform it. If you don't have enough space, you could also perform the backward somersault by crouching and then jumping onto anything behind you, which is higher than the normal jump. But if you're a more advanced player who likes tackling things faster, then you can quickly snap the analog stick in the opposite direction, then jump to initiate a side somersault to reach similar heights to a backwards one. But if you want to travel longer distances rather than higher ones, then you can quickly crouch and then jump while running to perform a long jump, which is wonderful for platforming, skipping certain obstacles, moving faster, and beating the game with 0 stars. You could also dive while airborne to leap forward if you don't think you'll make a jump, although be careful when it comes to bonking your head into walls because that can often be a death sentence. However, if you instead hold back on the analog stick while pressing B at a certain point in Mario's jump arc, then you can perform the mid-air kick, which I think is a very underrated maneuver because it lets Mario linger for a little bit while airborne. And if you know how to use it, then it can basically function as a makeshift double jump, which is immensely useful in tight platforming sequences. Like with the dive, just be careful to not bounce yourself off a wall. One move that would go on to be a staple in later entries is the wall jump, or the wall kick as it is called in this game. After jumping into a wall, Mario can jump right off of it with good timing, and these can be chained together to reach some high areas. And I find it especially satisfying when you use it to skip something. But let me put an emphasis on with good timing because in this game specifically, the wall jump has been critiqued for being too hard or precise or whatever. This is because, unlike later entries, Mario does not initiate a wall slide before a wall jump, so if you aren't able to hit the A button right as Mario begins to hug the wall, then you'll just bonk right into it. Fall damage can also be a bit annoying when you have to string lots of wall jumps together, because it doesn't take that many jumps until you'll take damage on the ground. Although, to be honest, maybe I'm just experienced with this game, but I've never really struggled that much with timing wall jumps. An issue I can point out is how sometimes Mario struggles with traveling completely straight, so you may end up eventually jumping away from the wall, and it's kinda hard to tell when it may happen. I may have presented Mario's moveset as a bit overwhelming, and while it is true that your options of traversal are quite vast, at the end of the day, this is still a Mario game. Mario games have always been very accessible. Just about anyone can pick up and play these games because they're pretty simple at the end of the day. You just jump on shit! But Mario's control is easy to learn but hard to master, since you can get through the game with normal jumps and a few backflips or wall kicks here and there. But you can also use the side somersault, long jump, mid-air kick, and more to traverse levels quicker and more efficiently in a rewarding fashion. It still feels very natural. Most of them are just different kinds of jumps. I love how the game lets more skilled players have a ball when it comes to traversal, while not having the skill floor be too low for newcomers. It really shines because of how you have so many different options to platform and traverse levels. It's just great. And mastering his moveset feels very satisfying. However, the core list of moves is not everything. The actual control and handling on the ground is important too, since poor control can really butcher a game. Still, I believe the core control in this game works fine. It's not perfect, there are a few quirks, but getting from one place to another feels fine and decently precise with the analog stick. The main issue I have with how Mario controls, which is admittedly a little minor, is the fact that sometimes Mario does more of a U-turn than snapping in the opposite direction, and when on tiny platforms, it can sometimes lead to death and a feeling of being cheated by Mario. How dare you say lost levels is bad? Now I'm gonna turn like a car on the next small platform you encounter, mamma mia! Another tweak that isn't really mentioned a lot is how you don't have nearly as much mid-air control as you did in the 2D games. I can't call this a flaw though, it's just a little different by having jumps require more commitment. I also believe the mid-air kick can solve issues with accuracy while jumping, and Mario's drop shadow helps with that as well. While the control may be an aspect that has worsened a little with age, I can't say it detracts a whole lot from the experience because I feel as if it's pretty minor, and easily outweighed by the sheer mobility of Mario's moveset, which helps with exploration and platforming. Mario's control isn't perfectly precise, but I feel like most of those issues can be blamed more on the level design of some later stages that are more demanding. Another innovative aspect of Mario 64 or at least 26 years ago, was the controllable camera that you influence with the C buttons. I've always found it very charming and interesting how they felt the need to contextualize the camera in the form of Lakitu, who was documenting Mario's journey. Wait a minute, so if Lakitu was filming Mario, then who's filming Lakitu? No offense, Lakitu, but you probably should have taken more classes, because he is a photographer who specializes in getting stuck in walls and pissing you off. Yeah, this is another aspect of the game that is kinda dated nowadays. The camera is just not that good. Not only because you don't have full 360 control like modern games, but the angles are usually a bit cumbersome, and Lakitu is fucking stubborn sometimes.
Can't you just tell him to fucking move, Mario?
A few indoor sections like this igloo in Snowman's Land really suffer because he'll end up running into more walls than a blind kid without a guide dog. This one part of Shifting Sandland is also a pain in the dick. Look at this, man, I have no idea what's below me, so that was a fucking leap of faith. The ability to freely look around is nice though, I'll give it that. You can also switch to this Mario cam or whatever, which can go directly behind Mario, but holy shit, why is he so fucking close? These angles are always more inappropriate than me saying positive things about Last of Us 2. Even the graphics in this game fucking suck. Honestly, it's one of my least favorite elements of Mario 64. Yeah, I get that it was revolutionary 26 years ago, but whenever I fall or even worse die because of a wacky camera angle, my immediate thought isn't, well, just imagine how cool this would have been in 1996. Instead, it makes me want to slam Lakitu's skull against a brick wall. At its best, it gets the job done, but at its worst, it's pretty damn frustrating. Before diving into the proper level design, it's important to understand the structure of Super Mario 64. I say that like all of you guys aren't familiar with how the game works, but I gotta give my thoughts on it since this is a review. Your objective is actually no longer about simply reaching the end of a level. Instead, the entire game is centered around collecting power stars, you know, like the power stars from Mario 64. Oh wait, you enter a level, select an objective, and go after that star. However, you can technically go after stars in any order you want within a level, despite the fact that you unlock objectives in order. I even did this for the very first star I collected in Bob on Battlefield. The game tells me to fight King Bob up on the mountain, but I felt like releasing the chain chomp to collect this star over here. Pretty much every star spawns in at once, so if you know of another star you can grab or see something that catches your attention, feel free. At that point, it probably would have been more effective to just display a list of all your objectives in a level rather than unlocking them one by one, but I can't really complain since the levels barely change between visits, so you're still allowed to grab stars in any order you want, you just can't see all of them. The only ones I can think of that actually depend on which mission you selected are the two Koopa the Quick stars, where you have to race this Koopa who does a poor job at living up to his name, and Bowser's sub in Dire Dire Docks. Selecting a mission basically does nothing but provides you with the name of your objective that can hint at how to grab the star. Wall kicks will work. I can confirm that the wall kick did indeed work. To the top of the fortress, I wonder where that is. Can the eel come out to play? Well, I wish he wouldn't. Every now and then, you may have to refer to a guide to find a power star, but most of the time, I feel like this is just a matter of the player's skill. Since I can't think of a lot of games where I never had to look something up, the levels aren't too big or cryptic, so you won't be lost that often. 2D Mario was constructed with lots of linear levels that were designed like obstacle courses, but since the N64 didn't have the power to design as many courses as in Super Mario World, they had to shrink down the number of levels substantially from 70-something to 15. However, the power stars make up for this, since you'll be revisiting the same open-ended levels with different goals. Every stage has a total of 7 stars, and multiply that by 15 and you get 105 power stars in total. But there's also the 15 secret castle stars, which will add up to 120. That sounds like a lot, and yeah, I guess it is. However, one of Mario 64's claim to fame is how much freedom it grants the player with what levels you get to play. You see, to get past the endless staircase and reach the final Bowser level, you actually only need 70 stars. So there are a lot of missions and entire levels that you can straight up just not play. You can play bits and pieces of a bunch of levels to add up to 70, or you can fully complete all the levels you like and avoid the ones you don't really want to play. There's even enough stars to avoid playing any levels on the second or third floors of the castle. Mario 64 revels in its nonlinearity, and it's another amazing aspect of this game by really making it feel like an open adventure where you can collect any stars you want in a casual run. Except for this one star in Dire Dire Docks, you pretty much have to collect it unless you're a TAS. This was also very innovative around its release, because this game essentially kickstarted the collectathon platformer genre where you progress through the game by collecting some kind of collectible. On my first playthrough, I actually avoided some stages that most people weren't too fond of, and coming back to this game for casual runs can lead to smooth sailing by being allowed to choose exactly which stars you want to collect. However, since this is an analysis of Mario 64, I felt as if it was my duty to collect all 120 stars for the sake of experiencing everything this game had to offer. There is of course merit carrot and doing everything in the game if you really love sinking your teeth into games with lots of content, and I'd say Mario 64 delivers on that front. And of course, just doing a normal 70-star playthrough can still leave you very satisfied, since you get to choose what parts of the game to play. But how was the overall experience? This was actually my first time going after every star, and as a result, I had to 100% a few levels that I didn't have too much experience in. So how do the levels themselves hold up, and how well do they complement the collectathon structure? First of all, these levels don't exactly have a flagpole or a proper end. They're like little playgrounds that you're just thrown into and you have to explore them to collect all the power stars scattered throughout the stage. That does complement the structure in this game well, since most stars will see you doing different things throughout the level. The iconic Bob-on Battlefield does a great job introducing the player to how future levels will be structured. Most of the stars see Mario traveling to different areas or racing Koopa the Quick to get stars. And there's also the 8 red coin mission where you have to collect all 8 in the level to earn that power star. This exact objective actually reappears in every level and the difficulty can vary. Sometimes you'll really have to scour the entire level. They may be in one area within the bigger picture. See what I did there? Or sometimes they are really easy, like in Lethal Lava Land. Just look at this, man. It takes like 5 seconds. Another repeated mission is the last star of each level, the 100 coin star. I don't get why this one is hidden in the mission list though. Why does it have to be secret if every level has one? What you see is what you get. Just collect 100 coins the best way you know how, and right when that coin count hits 100, it appears over your head. Because of that, yeah, try not to get your 100th coin in a problematic place like a slide. Or even worse, this one time where I had to repeatedly use the cannon to launch myself to the star. Oh yeah, the camera angles in these cannons fucking suck. I've heard the criticism that these slow down the pace a lot by having you scour every stage for coins, but it's just like the 8 red coin hunts on a larger scale, since most of the red coins will be scattered across the entire stage. Some are pretty easy to complete, like in Big Boo's Haunt, because enemies that drop blue coins are just spawning everywhere. However, a few levels give you breadcrumbs of coins, like Jolly Roger Bay, where they're so damn scarce. And some levels are just kinda easy to die in, so that can make them frustrating for some levels too. Not all of them are perfect, but I still think it's a fine challenge to really show that you've mastered the stage. Another gimmick that appears every now and then for star collecting are the special caps Mario can wear. These are supposed to replace the good old power-ups you'd see in the 2D games, however these are more situational than fire extinguishers. I don't really think this is inherently bad though. I guess it's a little more interesting than just letting you use new moves to make stages easier. I don't think power-ups are bad because while they can make stages easier, they're rewarding for experienced players who can hold on to them and can throw a bone to players who are struggling with levels. This is just a different way of handling that idea. And I feel like people are a bit too dismissive of the concept. Having these act more like gimmicks to switch up the gameplay is a swell idea. However, I think the main problem is just that they aren't too exciting. Starting off with the wing cap, and yeah, I don't like this one. It's yet another power-up with the ability to fly/glide through the air, but it controls like Doki ass and feels sluggish to swoop through the air. Once you have to tackle specific missions that ask for precision, like collecting red coins while flying, it's safe to assume that you'll be traumatized by the end of it. The wing cap course really sucks because it's super easy to overshoot these teeny little coins, and if you can't collect them all in one fell swoop, then you're just gonna fall and die because it eventually runs out. Makes me glad it was kinda underutilized. Next up is the vanish cap, which lets you walk through specific walls every now and then. It's used for like 4 stars. This one isn't technically bad like the wing cap, but who actually cares about this one? Lastly, we have the metal cap, which transforms Mario into Metal Mario, my favorite character from Mario Kart 7. First of all, I really love using this one for the music alone. It's gotta be one of my favorite songs in this soundtrack.
Hey, wanna listen to some tunes?
It's not super exciting, but it's probably the best out of the 3. It's sort of like the star in that you can tear through any enemies in your path, and you can also use it to sink underwater, so have fun collecting 3 stars with that. I don't dislike the idea of having power-ups be more like gadgets to add variety to the gameplay, but these aren't very interesting or just bad. I guess the wing cap had some potential, but using it is not fun. I still believe the game is fine how it is now without traditional power-ups, since those would give Mario extra health and new moves, and in Mario 64 he already has a health bar and a very large moveset. The stars rely heavily on the core level design, and for the most part, it holds up and works well. I already illustrated why Bob on Battlefield is a great intro level, but Cool Cool Mountain is a memorable level with a few different areas to explore, like this slide. There's also that one irresponsible penguin who lost their child. Lining up with the snowman's head can be a pain in the ass though. He must have been decapitated for a justifiable reason. Whomp's Fortress is a fun romp with different areas to reach the top that host their own challenges. However, it's like the smallest level in the entire game. Hazy Maze Cave is one of the most open stages in this game, and I like it. Lots of different places to visit while not being too confusing, and it even supplies you with a map to get a grasp of the layout. Lethal Lava Land is fun to play around in, but be careful because lava is everywhere.
Well, no fucking shit!
And while it technically isn't as punishing as a bottomless pit, recovering is kinda hard since fire makes you bounce around while your ass is on fire. This especially made the 100 coin star dreadful. You have to scour the entire stage while being careful not to light Mario's gluteus maximus on fire, which can very easily make you have to start from square one. The layout is overall still enjoyable, but the bullies that push you around and minor control issues don't really help with that.
Alright, come on. Easy, Mario.
Big Boo's Haunt is a pretty fun level, basically transitioning Mario World's ghost houses into 3D, and there's lots of different rooms you can explore. The level features more puzzle elements than platforming, but the atmosphere and missions still make it a fun one. Tiny Huge Island is alright. It has a gimmick where you can switch from being tiny or huge, and I think that makes for some decent variety when it comes to collecting stars. Although I gotta say, inclines and slopes are your worst nightmare in this game. If any pixel of Mario's body touches a wall with an incline, then it's super easy to slip off like a cartoon character. And sometimes, stages are suspended over bottomless pits, so when combined with that and the flawed control, it can lead to occasional frustration. Snowman's Land is a pretty average level. Nothing is super memorable, and we didn't really need 2 snow levels. I guess they were really impressed with the snow pixels they got on the screen. Also, this penguin is a real dick. Wet Dry World has a decently interesting water level mechanic where you have to explore by raising and lowering the water's elevation. Overall, it's a solid level, but not one of my favorites. Maybe that's because of the water. Shifting Sandland is alright. Nothing about it is like bad. The pyramid can be fun to play in, but the quicksand can make it a little easy to die sometimes. Now, I've listed a good chunk of levels that I can call solid, or at best, really damn fun. To be honest, the only 2 levels that I can say I don't enjoy that much are the 2 water levels, Jolly Roger Bay and Dire Dire Docks. Swimming was never my favorite activity in 2D Mario, but at least in those, there were usually lots of obstacles and enemies to still avoid. But swimming in Mario 64 not only feels sluggish, but super uninteresting because it's so empty. There's like nothing going on here. None of the stars here are that exciting either, like just guessing the order of chests to open like a billion times, or this one with the manta ray, and I swear to god it literally went through the fucking ring.
Finally, I got the... Wait, what? What? No, the star's right, it's right fucking there! Yeah, people only like this level because of the fucking music. This level sucks ass.
Because these are the only stages that I somewhat dislike. That means I actually enjoy some of the levels that have been under scrutiny for being repetitive, like Tick-Tock Clock, Tall Tall Mountain, and Rainbow Ride. There's another aspect of the game that has been criticized to hell and back, the fact that you get booted out of the stage after collecting a power star. They definitely could have gone without this. It could have led to a more immersive experience that flows better at a much more natural and faster pace. It would also make the 100 coin stars much easier to nab, since if you don't die after collecting a few stars, you'll naturally make it to that number instead of having to go back and explore every part of the stage all over again. And speaking of which, you can continue playing after getting the 100 coin stars as well as the red coin stars in the Bowser levels, so it's not related to hardware or anything, they just thought it was a good idea. And they were wrong! For the majority of levels, this is not an issue since you will be completing different tasks, so you'll never feel the repetition in the level design. But a few levels like Tall Tall Mountain and Tick-Tock Clock are a bit linear, so as a result, a lot of stars will see you trucking through the same ground.
Like, look at this, bro. There's literally 2 different stars right here for me to oh, shit.
In Tick-Tock Clock's case, you are climbing higher within the stage. And Tall Tall Mountain usually asks you to reach the peak and do something different, like this slide or dealing with these monkeys. And god of it, a pain in the ass to catch.
Alright, I got you now. Oh, fuck, god damn it.
Especially when they take your hat. Not even resetting the game can get your hat back. You really gotta go back in and deal with those bozos.
Oh my god, finally, I got my hat back! Hey, you know what? I ain't gonna let you off the hook so easily. Let me throw this motherfucker off the map! What? No, not again! Fuck!
While I acknowledge that this repetitious structure is a bit of a flaw in these stages, I still actually find them to be quite fun because they're simple platforming levels and I find that to be enjoyable, even if they're linear. Honestly, Tick-Tock Clock may be one of my favorite levels. I love the aesthetic and the setting, and this level can contain some of the more challenging platforming. People also say Rainbow Ride is bad in this regard, but I really disagree. The level still sees you exploring lots of different areas. The only thing I can really critique is how you still have to put up with these not so fast magic carpet rides at the very beginning, and this is not exactly riveting when you have to come back for more stars. But once you get to this point, then you can begin to explore different pathways, so I find it to be fun overall. It gets a little nerve-wracking with the bottomless pits though. At least in Tick-Tock Clock, you can usually just fall to a lower portion of the stage.
You know, wouldn't it be funny if Tick-Tock Clock was called the Dick Cock Clock? That would be funny, I think.
It's also worth noting that these levels have no checkpoints, with very few exceptions, like the volcano and lethal lava land, but I think that's it. So at that point, lives are basically like useless. You just spawn further from the castle if you get a game over. Also, why are 1-ups so tiny in this game? Sometimes it feels like they're just trying to run away from me, man.
Oh look, a 1-up.
It's not that hard to rack up lives, but every time you reset the game, your life count resets. I didn't like it in Mario World, and I still don't like it that much here, but it's not like I'm losing much. Also, the game rewards you with 100 lives after you collect all 120 stars. You know, because it's not like they're just gonna go away after resetting the game. Oh yeah, and there's also the 3 Bowser stages: Bowser in the Dark World, Bowser in the Fire Sea, and Bowser in the Sky. You'll have to complete these before reaching their respective Bowser boss fights, which you'll have to complete to unlock new parts of the castle. These are as linear as can be, but not in a bad way because they only have 1 red coin star and that's completely optional. Grabbing red coins in these stages is more so about taking risks rather than exploring. And also, I never struggle with the camera in these stages. I honestly wouldn't have minded seeing more straightforward platforming courses sprinkled throughout the game. These are fun for the same reasons I could enjoy Tick-Tock Clock's level design. However, these are more horizontal, when most Mario 64 levels are about verticality. Besides these, I guess there are courses to unlock the special caps that fit into that category, but that's mostly it. And I guess on that note, we can discuss the boss fights, and these might be easier than Mario World, actually. Losing to any of these guys is practically impossible, whether it be King Bob-omb, Wiggler, or the Womp King. I guess the bullies may fuck you up since the entire point is that they try to bounce you off, and they're usually put over bottomless pits or lava, but juking them isn't too hard. The best ones are the Bowser fights, even though they are still pretty simple. Also, god, what happened to Bowser's model? I know everyone has said it before, but he looks like he just got stung by a bee. Most of his attacks are easy to evade, but the main challenge is trying to swing Bowser into the bombs on the side, since Mario swings his tail around really fast. If you ask me though, it makes more sense for the challenge of the boss to be evading attacks rather than a simple timing challenge. The last one is much more interesting, with chunks of the arena falling off, and this one actually takes 3 hits instead of just like 1. Well, I guess the only aspect we haven't really discussed is the soundtrack. I don't like spending long on soundtracks, but we have so many iconic tracks here, and I think there are a lot of great ones. It goes for more of a quality over quantity approach, which I can respect, although I don't think we needed like 4 levels using the main theme. The underwater theme, mostly associated with Dire Dire Docks, is also really good and very iconic, but I kind of wish people would really start appreciating the entire OST and not just this one. My favorites would include the underground theme for levels like Hazy Maze Cave and Wet Dry World. The main theme because it's just super catchy. The Metal Mario theme, like I mentioned earlier, honestly the best part of that power-up. And I think the music that plays on the way to Bowser sounds really good. It sets the tone well, although the obstacle course is harder than Bowser. Of course, the credits theme is also another great one. It just gives me a great feeling every time I come back and beat this game. Not as good as Mario World's credits theme, but still a fantastic composition. And that's Super Mario 64. Such an iconic game, what else can I really say? Not everyone loves this game, but in the end, after finally getting all 120 stars, I left feeling very satisfied. You even get to see Yoshi, who gives you a message from the developers, and it makes me feel good about myself. Yoshi also leaps to his death. Yeah, some aspects of this game didn't age that well. The camera can get on my nerves, and Mario's control is not perfect, but most of the levels don't push the control too hard like Lost levels, so the majority of them are comfortable to play. Also, Mario's new and improved moveset makes exploring the levels a joy because of how many different means of getting to the end you have. This game is super popular to speedrun for good reason. The brand new structure to accommodate the transition to 3D works very well, and the new level design philosophy still makes me feel as if I'm playing a Mario game. I love coming back to this game every now and then because it's super replayable. Not every level is awesome, mainly looking at the 2 water levels, but who cares, I don't even have to play them. Few levels here and there don't mesh super well with the structure, since you're constantly booted from the stage, and the game would be better without that, but the levels that don't have stuff like that heavily outweigh the few that do, and the ones with a little repetition are still very fun in my opinion. I fucking love Tick-Tock Clock despite the issue it has of repetition. Not everything is perfect, but it has so many elements that I love, and it comes together as a great game, and in the end it aged surprisingly well. I can look past the dated elements and appreciate all the other amazing things this game offers. I really see the potential for this game to become my favorite Mario game, but it has a few quirks like the camera, the controls, and getting booted from the stage after collecting a star that overall kind of make me struggle to say this is the best in the series. If only Nintendo patched this game up for 3D All-Stars to make it more accessible to play. The fact that it's still in 4x3 is approaching SADX levels of lazy, and that scares me. But hey, since I am a Sonic fan, I know I can leave it to the fans to make great remasters and revisions of games that Nintendo or Sega refuse to make or make very well. That brings us to Super Mario 64 Plus. I'll keep this brief, but holy shit, it fixes literally everything wrong with the original version. All you gotta do is supply it with a ROM, which I have no shame in doing because I've bought it officially many times before, and after that you can enjoy a near flawless Mario 64 experience with amazing control, a harmless camera, widescreen 60 FPS, I think you swim faster too, and you can even keep on playing after collecting a star, and all these make the game so fast-paced and a blast to play. You can play through like all of Tick-Tock Clock in one run, it's so damn cool. They even add new moves like the wall slide and the roll for Mario Odyssey, which you don't have to use, but they make everything so fucking fun to play. If this was official, then yes, this would be my favorite Mario game for sure, but that isn't really fair if fans just built off the potential in the base game. So looking at the game Nintendo made in 1996, it's not perfect, but I can say it's somewhere in my top 5 because it's still great 26 years later.